How to strengthen your core and pelvic floor. Hi, welcome to our Ed Talks, little snippets of education to help you heal and feel empowered. I'm Justine Calderwood, pelvic floor physical therapist and certified birth healing practitioner. I'm currently teaching some weekly fitness classes online, and I wanted to make this Ed Talk based on some questions I had from one of my students that is learning how to train her core and pelvic floor, which is a big part of what we do in Fit to Be classes, is really focus in on getting a strong functional core so you can be confident and be able to be as active as you want to be, fit to run, fit to hike, fit to mom, fit to be as active as you want to be is the motto of Fit to Be classes. So I want to read you her first question was basically, I'm trying to understand how not to breathe into my belly but also breathe into my pelvic floor. It just seems contradictory to me. I'm a classic belly breather, which is very common, and it's hard to focus on the rib cage expanding instead of allowing the belly to go out. So I want to address that first issue because that's very common. A lot of people are breathing with their bellies and not actually using their rib cage and their diaphragm. Let me first show you a diagram. Okay, this is a diagram of what your core looks like. And when I say core and pelvic floor, the pelvic floor muscles are actually part of the deep core, okay? So they're not really separate, to be honest. But this is looking at it from the side. So this is somebody facing this direction. This is the back. And basically what I want you to think of the core is being kind of like a canister, almost like this bottle of water. It's 360 degrees around and it's cylindrical. Okay, it goes up and down. So from the top we have the diaphragm, and that's right underneath the rib cage. It's a dome-shaped muscle, and when we inhale it comes down, and when we exhale it moves up. Okay, think of that like the top lid of the canister. Then we have underneath here the pelvic floor muscles, another kind of dome-shaped muscle, and that creates the bottom lid. Then we have along the front wall, we have the transverse abdominis muscles. So think of those going kind of transversely from side to side. They wrap around and attach onto the really thick fascia or connective tissue of the back. And then we have these multifidi muscles in between, from the backside, in between the vertebra or the bones of the back. So again, if we look at the core as being more of a cylindrical, we have a top lid of the diaphragm, which is going to move up and down when we inhale and exhale. And also the bottom lid is going to be the pelvic floor muscles. Then we have a front wall, which is a transverse abdominis, and then those multifidi muscles in the back. Think of those as being the very deep, as close as you can get deep, very deep part of the core. They make up the deep core. All right, so back to this diagram. When we inhale, the diaphragm moves down, it lengthens. So do the pelvic floor muscles. They have to lengthen, okay, and they move down. When we exhale, those muscles move back up, both, okay? The pelvic floor muscles move up on an exhale, the diaphragm moves up on an inhale, exhale. So again, think of this kind of cylindrical water bottle. So the air has to have somewhere to go. As we inhale, it's got to go somewhere. We want it to ideally distribute evenly throughout this cylindrical. We don't want it to be pushing out, say, into the belly, okay, or pushing down too much into that pelvic floor. And then as we exhale, the breath is going to leave the body, and so it's going to go out. So hopefully that helps you to see. So when I teach classes and when I teach my patients on when we start to retrain the core and the deep core, which are our stabilizers for our back and our hips and our pelvis, what I teach them is we don't really want to be breathing with the belly, which is how a lot of people breathe. So I'm going to pull this up. I do have a sports bra on. So I'm just going to have you kind of see here as if I'm breathing with my belly. See how this is protruding out as I inhale? And as I exhale, I can be mindful of pulling that back in. So I can allow all my breath to go down into my tummy, okay? Or better is to allow my rib cage to expand. So as I inhale, my belly's going to move a little bit, but most of it I want it to come out here and allow the rib cage to expand. Okay, so we're inhaling. focusing more on the rib cage and that expansion, and exhale. There was a second question that I want to go ahead and bring into this because they kind of tie together. The other thing is, she said, I have a problem with zipping up. That's some cueing I use on how to actually contract those muscles underneath. As we exhale, we kind of want to zip up. I want to go over that with you. It says, I'm a bit confused when you said to relax those muscles and zip up too. And that's actually in relation to low pressure fitness when I say relax the abdominal muscles. So I want to address all of this together because it ties together. So going back here, ideally we want to inhale, allow the rib cage to expand out. We're allowing that breath really to come in and distribute all the way around and allow the pelvic floor muscles to lengthen down. And then as I exhale, I can contract those muscles underneath and allow this to empty from the bottom up, where we're kind of zipping up. So if we inhale, I'm allowing those muscles into my pelvic floor area to come back down to baseline, okay, or lengthen. And then as I exhale, I'm intentionally squeezing and allowing them to come up, almost like an elevator rising up. And I'm zipping up low, mid, and upper abs, but not allowing my rib cage to just close down with that exhale. So let's look at this from the side. We're going to inhale, trying to expand here. I'm also intentionally, you can't see it, allowing muscles to lengthen underneath. Now as I exhale, I'm zipping up. I'm going to come a little bit closer here. So watch this movement here. And as I exhale, I don't know if you can see this. So yes, my belly's moving a little bit, okay, because again, this is a cylinder, okay, and then as I exhale, I'm trying my best to zip up. And if you are a belly breather, with a lot of people are, you're inhaling, you're exhaling, probably not really engaging anything when you're exhaling. You're probably just truly inhaling and just dumping into this belly, okay, and it's staying out there. And you can imagine how that would then start to maybe put some pressure down below into the pelvic floor area, may cause some push out into that abdomen. If you already have, say, a diastasis after pregnancy, that can be pushing that out. So this is just a way to help redistribute that breath better. So no, we can't just breathe into the diaphragm and the pelvic floor without bypassing and going through the belly. But what my intention there is that we're not just belly breathing. Okay, and it does take a little bit of training. In my Fit to Be classes and in the starter workshop, we talk about a lot of ways to actually get better mobility, to allow this rib cage to expand, because a lot of people are tight. They're not used to breathing like this, even though that's how our bodies are designed to breathe. They've gotten tight in the rib cage. They're either doing that belly breathing or they're using all of these muscles here, and it's causing a lot of strain in the neck and the head and the upper back. So this type of training helps you to get those deeper core muscles, allow the diaphragm and the rib cage to actually do the job they're intended to do. So it can be a little bit of a retraining, a rehab type situation. So that's something I go over in class, and then also in the starter workshop, we've given some tips and tools to get better mobility, but also proprioception, which is basically just allowing the brain and this area to kind of connect and be able to tell if you're getting some expansion of the rib cage or not. Okay, the other question was, how do I zip up and I'm contracting, but also be able to relax the abdominal wall in order to do what she's referring to really is a hypopressive breath or a abdominal vacuum, which is a hallmark of breathing as part of low pressure fitness, which is one of the styles of training that we do in Fit to Be classes. So let me show you what that looks like and why we need to allow the abdominal muscles to actually relax with that. So I want you to, again, hopefully this is a good view. I want you to focus in on the rib cage expanding. I'm going to inhale in. I'm exhaling, zipping things up. I'm going to do 3 breaths like this, and then I'm going to do a hypopressive breath. Inhaling in. Exhaling, zipping. Third breath here. I'm going to exhale. I'm going to hold my breath and do a hypopressive breath. So did you see how this cinched the waistline? My transverse abdominis, my back, they came in, okay? We saw this nice good contour here. And then you could see how my rib cage expanded, and it allowed what we call kind of like a plunger effect. It helped to lift up my organs and just kind of cinch everything into that deep core. So what I oftentimes cue in class is to relax abs as you're doing that. If I don't relax my abs, I can't lift up as well. So it does kind of sound in a way like, what am I doing? You're actually zipping up, then you're going to relax abs as you start to do that hypopressive breath where you're lifting up and out with the rib cage. So watch this time. If I do it without relaxing my abs, I'm just not going to get as much lift, okay? So I'm going to inhale, filling this canister, exhale, zipping, inhaling in, exhaling out, zipping up. Third breath in. Okay, and I'm going to zip on up. It's almost like, if you're bracing the abs like that, and then you're trying to do a hypopressive, you don't have as much of the lift up. So it's just before holding the breath and doing that opening of the rib cage, you have to allow those abdominals to relax a little bit. They're still engaged, they're still working. That's the beauty of low pressure fitness, is those muscles, they're not, I'm not bearing down or pushing down. They're there and they're activating. I'm just allowing the rib cage to be more of the center of my attention and focus, because it's the rib cage lifting up and out that sucks up everything from underneath. Okay, so hopefully that clears up a little bit there. I wanted to turn this into an ed talk because I think it's a great way to bring some attention to core and pelvic floor strengthening and differences in breath. I really like to teach the zipping up because it's very functional. We can use that with things like, I need to go pick up my toddler, I need to pick up a car seat, I need to lift groceries and carry them, or I need to push or pull, things that require us to have a nice strong foundation into our core. And so when we go to do things like that, it's ideal when you go to exert yourself, lifting, carrying, pushing, pulling, that kind of thing, to exhale and zip everything up, so that way you have a good support system for your back and your trunk and your hips. But it would be really hard to do a hypopressive breath where we're sucking, up and in. That would be really hard to turn that into like a functional activity. Like, I wouldn't do that while I'm lifting weights or while I'm trying to pick something up. It's not functional in that regard, but it's functional in the way of, it's going to help my system have better mobility, better awareness of that deep core, and um, better strength, so that I can then do those everyday things. So it's not you do this type of breath all the time and that's it, and then you have this type of breath that's like, one's good, one's bad. You actually have different ways of breathing depending on what the activity involves. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Thanks for watching this extremely long ed talk. If you lasted to the end, congratulations, thank you. If you have more questions, please let me know. If you're interested in Fit to Be classes and working with me in that small group setting, or if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, head to my website, healingspotpt.com. Pick out whatever option works for you. If you want to talk about your particular issues, sign up for a discovery session. That's the best way for us to be able to help you make a better decision about what the next step is. Those classes are also on my website. If you go to resources and online classes, I'll also leave the link for that below if you want to consider that. I would love to be able to help you with whatever you are struggling with. Thank you for watching.